Dale Earnhardt once famously remarked, "The winner isn't necessarily the one with the fastest car, it's the one who refuses to lose." After 10 races and countless miles, these seasoned warriors find themselves at the culmination of the season, all with a singular goal in mind: clinching the prestigious title of Slingshot Racing Champion. This season has been nothing short of intense, witnessing the emergence of numerous contenders, boasting no fewer than 7 victors and a plethora of close calls. Josh Ward burst onto the scene with 2 wins in the first 4 races,
Ward wins it for Randy Bechdel.
while familiar names like Smith and Bechdel quickly found their
season.
It took the reigning champion, Jacob Bradley, 7 races to return to the familiar embrace of victory lane. And who could forget the dominance displayed by the 70 car on the challenging road course in Canada? It wasn't until the 9th race that the former champion Wilson claimed his first victory of the season. And then came the unforgettable finish that solidified Tompkins' position in the chase. Excelling in the regular season serves as a gateway to the chase, but reaching the zenith demands more. As the season reaches its crescendo, expectations swell like the tide. Patience and stamina, revered virtues in this grand theater of speed, shall stand as the guiding principles for the chosen one. Yet, amidst the trials and tribulations, only one driver will ascend to the pinnacle, laying claim to the throne atop the mountain. And now, here we stand, tonight, where 12 drivers reset their season, eagerly anticipating the second encounter with destiny, their eyes set on championship glory, over the course of 5 races. Each presenting its own unique challenges, from treacherous corners to unforgiving walls. Every lap holds significance, or a single mistake could shatter their
Down the
dreams.
backstretch, the 70's in the inside wall.
These drivers must navigate nearly flawless races if they are to seize the crown at Charlotte. Who among them will prove worthy? 5 races, 1 champion.
If it's Tuesday, that means it's the Apex Energy Truck Series presented by Hank Thomas Performance from Slingshot Racing League. Welcome, everybody. I'm Ellis Thomas alongside Chris Smith in the booth tonight. We're bringing you live racing action in the NASCAR trucks from Chicagoland Speedway for the Evan Pienta Designs 175. Since its establishment in 2001, Chicagoland has woven a compelling tapestry of racing lore highlighted by 2 of the tightest finishes in IndyCar history. And the tracks also witnessed fierce competition among stock cars, exemplified by numerous winners of the annual NASCAR Cup Series race. Not there anymore, but in the past, from drivers outside of the top 10, and also some really thrilling close finishes on the final lap. While it may be tempting to categorize this 1.5-mile oval alongside the plethora of other intermediate ovals that emerged across the country in the 90s and 2000s, Chicagoland's layout is distinctively unique. Its oval never truly actually straightens out, featuring a series of kinks on the front stretch and back stretch that form one long continuous curve. Chris, like the city itself, Chicagoland is a testament to the resilience and innovation. Its unique layout with its challenging bends and continuous curves pays homage to the pioneering spirit of Chicagoans who've always embraced progress and pushed the boundaries of what's possible. Chris, no one who is watching then will forget one of the craziest moments to happen at the track when in 2004, a giant promotional inflatable orange broke loose from its tethers on the backstretch and rolled around the track, narrowly missing a car in qualifying. Now tonight, hopefully no drivers have oranges chasing after them, but they're going to have other drivers in the pack chasing after them. What are you going to have to do tonight if you're going to have a perfect race and you're going to come out on top with a good, clean finish at the end of the evening?
Well, based upon what we saw in practice, I think you're going to have to be willing to move around. One thing that we saw over the course of the practice is the track began to rubber up with more trucks running on it. We began to see an outside groove begin to form, and we saw a lot of drivers running out there. So I think you're going to have to be able to adapt to whatever situation that the racetrack presents for you tonight. We're going to be looking at the curvature of that backstretch as well as we go throughout the race. But over the course of the 116 laps tonight, we can expect at least 2 pit stops, 45 laps on a tank of fuel roughly tonight, and expect a lot of tire degradation over the course of a long run. This track will wear out your tires if you are not careful, especially if you are abusing them up there on that top lane.
All right, we're going to be looking at those stories as well as others here momentarily. But before we get to the action, it's everyone's favorite slingshot racing pre-race tradition, the national anthem. We'll be back on the other end of the Star Spangled Banner, everybody. All right, back here from Joliet, Illinois, suburbs of Chicago at Chicagoland Speedway, just a few minutes away from live racing action for the Slingshot Racing League and the Apex Energy Truck Series, presented by Hank Thomas Performance. I'm Ellis Thomas, joined in the booth by Chris Smith. We've got some racing line stories tonight for the fans to set up the race as you watch these drivers go around the track in the final moments of pre-race warm-up. First thing we got to talk about, Chris, are the points. Aaron Smith has established himself as the driver to beat. He's built a point leads of 35 points over Randy Bechdel and Scotty Sobczak, but tonight's an opportunity for a lot of drivers to get back into the hunt. Randy Bechdel's been fast in practice. Scotty Sobczak has been fast in practice, Chris. A lot of drivers are hungry for that win and hungry to get back into the championship race tonight. I'm looking at folks like Bechdel, Sobczak, and Bradley to see if they can close some of the ground going out of Chicago into the final 2 races at Darlington and Charlotte, Chris. Anyone you're keeping your eye on?
Those guys that you mentioned right there to see if they can, make up a little bit of ground. Last week was kind of a clinic by Aaron Smith. I'll be watching Justin Wilson as well. Unfortunately, he missed last week at Sonoma. I think he had a work conflict, so he's going to be looking to make up some ground in the points here as well. I think it's going to be tough to catch Aaron Smith, but he can definitely move up from that 9th spot that he's currently in.
And those drivers that you see not in the top 12 in the chase, they're actually in what we are calling the Buttkicker Bracket Challenge. We took all drivers outside the top 12, and they're fighting for their own prize at the end of the season, a Buttkicker haptic feedback setup for their sim racing rig, which lets them feel every vibration in the car. We've got 8 drivers squaring off against each other head-to-head tonight. Those 4 matchups you see under the Chicagoland column on our bracket tonight: Wesley Pistol Bechdel versus Lee Campbell, James Danforth versus Chase Berry, Jacob Chase versus Ryan Hinkle, and Tony Caputo versus Matt Coons. We'll be kind of following these battles throughout the night to update you on how your favorite driver is doing, but 8 drivers going into tonight, just 4 will make it out into the semifinals at Darlington. Chris, a couple other stories before we go racing tonight. We mentioned in the opener, the kinky backstretch, right? You got to give each other space. There's a curvature that'll slip up on you. Normally when we think of these tracks, we're thinking of a straight back straightaway, as it's called, but that is not the case here at Chicagoland. What's going through a driver's mind? What do they need to adjust as they go down that back straightaway tonight?
You just got to be aware that, you don't have a wall necessarily. You have the wall to judge yourself off of, but, everybody's sort of turning a little bit. It's not I wouldn't say it's a huge adjustment. I mean, I think that here I maybe just give a little bit more room if I'm to the inside of a driver who's on the outside because, maybe they are not riding as close to the wall as they typically would on a standard mile-and-a-half racetrack.
And then the final 2 stories, which kind of go hand in hand, which line are you taking tonight? And is the track going to change over the course of the race? And how does that impact whether you choose to run your car high near the wall or down near that bottom yellow line? What is the driver thinking as they get ready to go green?
Well, at the beginning of the race right here, the track is, it's in a standard state right here without much rubber buildup on it at all. But over the course of the race tonight, that's going to change, and you have to be willing to adapt to those changes over the course of the race tonight.
Speaking of adapting to changes, we're going to take a moment to hear from one of our drivers who's going to be starting up near the front in 5th position, driver of the number 92, Josh Ward. 5th in championship point standings right now, tied for 5th with Johnny Rapp. Josh Ward, thanks for agreeing to be interviewed. I want to ask you a couple of questions. First of all, what did you learn in practice about what you're going to have to do with this race truck over the course of the race to stay up front? What information were you able to gather?
I think just managing temperament over the first 10 or 20 laps is going to be pretty critical. Going into here, I thought the right front was going to burn up, but turns out the right rear is going to be the tire in question. So just keeping it on the bottom, keeping the car straight out of the corner, and really 20, 25 laps into the tire run's really where the race is going to start.
So when you talk about the race starting, how's your mentality going into this race? 5th in the points, you've got to make up some ground tonight. How aggressive do you plan on being?
I probably need to pull myself back a little bit based on the actions last week. So hopefully just kind of hang out and don't really wad anything up. With a new team and want to get these guys a good finish and hopefully just get a good solid top 5 tonight.
Awesome, man. Driver number 92, Josh Ward, in that LN Kart truck out of Boone, North Carolina. Appreciate you joining us. Good luck out there tonight.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so you heard from 5th place starter Josh Ward. Rest of the starting lineups been scrolling across your screen. Scotty Sobczak is on your pole. 3rd, we talked about being aggressive, making up ground. Driver number 81 looking to do that. However, points leader Aaron Smith is on the outside pole, so he's going to have to get going in a hurry if he's going to gap Smith and gain any points tonight. Jacob Bradley starting 3rd, Justin Wilson 4th, Josh Ward, as we mentioned, in the number 92 starting 5th. Wesley Pistol on the outside of row 3 in that yellow or that orange Tennessee Volunteers truck starting in the 6th position. Randy Bechdel looking to get back in it tonight as well. Has had a great season, winner at Iowa, come close several more times this season. Randy looking to have a good finish, maybe even go after a win tonight. We've seen him be fast in mile-and-a-half tracks. Sean Johnson to his outside. Patrick Colby starting 9th. Rye Jones starting 10th. You've seen the rest of the rest of the qualifying order scroll across the bottom of the screen. We're going to take another lap around here as drivers get ready. We've got, looks like 30 drivers strapping in tonight to get this race going. And Chris, in terms of attrition, what do you think we're going to see here? It's sometimes hard to predict, but we've seen some nice, clean races the past several weeks. Do you expect that to continue over the course of the evening?
I sure hope so. I don't think this is a track where we typically see a lot of trucks torn up. I think that Josh Ward brings up a really good point, though, with the right rear tire. That could be a possibility of creating a little bit of havoc later on. I don't know if it'll necessarily result in crashing necessarily, but I think that's something we need to keep an eye on is this track does promote a little bit of right rear wear, so keeping that truck straight and, on corner exit, but, treating that throttle like it's got an egg between your foot and it, I think is going to be the most important thing tonight, and yeah, hopefully it's as clean as what we've had here these last few mile-and-a-half races we've had.
Fingers crossed. I know these drivers are going to be hoping the same. Hey, it's the Evan Pienta Designs 175, and Scotty Sobczak in that pole sitting number 81. He's in an Evan Pienta Design paint scheme tonight for Pine Mountain Auto Supply. So you can see what a great job. That is a good looking. There's something just awesome about those classic schemes. He's going to be getting ready to put those hands firmly on the steering wheel as the pace car pulls off. We're getting ready to crank it up. Race number 13 of 15 in the Apex Energy Truck Series is underway here from Chicagoland Speedway. Aaron Smith gets off to a great start on the outside here. Scotty Sobczak down on the inside. Going to lead him off into turn 1. It's 2x2 as far as the eye can see, all the way through the first 6 or 7 rows. Right now, everyone gets it together. Oh, Sobczak up the track a little bit, opens the door for the number 50 of Jacob Bradley, who's going to try to grab that first position from Sobczak, headed down into 1. It's Sobczak back up to the outside. Bradley now on the inside. Aaron Smith a little bit loose. Further back in third place, the lead changes hands. Number 50 to the point. Lap 1 is in the books. Meanwhile, Josh Wardcrest got a really good start there. We've seen him jump to the inside, looking to go for third position after starting 5th. Are you seeing any trends when it comes to that lap where you might want to be, where the speed is initially?
Probably not right now. Everybody's sort of jammed up on top of each other at this point. And you know, there's a significant draft effect here, especially with these trucks with the big greenhouse, the big cabs of these trucks and big spoilers. So I don't think that we see too much so far, but as they sort of maybe get strung out a little bit, I think that's really when we're possibly going to be able to see it. You can utilize the top right now to make some passes on some guys that might be trapped on the bottom.
Josh Ward looking to go toe-to-toe with Justin Wilson. This right now is a battle for the 4th position, or the 5th position, I should say. Wilson looking, actually, that's the 4th position. Sorry, Justin Wilson on the outside trying to take the momentum, as you mentioned, away from Josh Ward and the LN yellow and blue kart car, or truck, I should say, on the inside there. You can see the momentum that now number 58 pulls off of turn 4. But Ward's able to gain it right back down into the corners. They creep up to the back bumper of the number 70 truck of Aaron Smith. Josh Ward, little bit loose there, slides up the track almost in front of the 94 of Wesley Pistol, but cooler heads prevail there. Ward gets it under control, and these cars now are on the back bumper of that number 70 truck of Aaron Smith. You mentioned it, Chris, the draft effect produced by those big greenhouses in the cab of these trucks. Big holes being punched in the air are going to allow for big runs like that to develop over the course of the evening. Looks like we've got a caution out right now, Chris. Not sure who that was for.
See Ryan Hinkle with a lot of damage right here in that number 99 Chevy. Take a look back
so
here.
You return to the scene of the crime and see what happened to the 99. I'm not seeing anything right off the bat.
So here he is down the backstretch right here. Looks like Tony Caputo looking to the inside of Ryan Hinkle. He's got Patrick O'Toole behind him right there. And, oh, yeah, some contact from O'Toole into the back of Caputo. Unfortunately, that turn hit. Man, oh, some contact between the Very Racing Motorsports teammates of Kuntz and DeCesare, but they both keep it straight. And, yeah, I think that was a... those guys were going a little bit faster than what Ryan Hinkle wanted to go at this stage, and looked like Patrick O'Toole just misjudged a little bit and hooked Tony Caputo in the right rear and sent him up into Ryan Hinkle. Oh, Caputo with a lot of damage there.
Yeah, this impacts the Buttkicker Bracket Challenge. Those two drivers involved with heavy damage in the crash, both Hinkle and Caputo, were both seated in the Bracket Challenge. The benefactors of this lap number 5 caution are going to be Jacob Chase and Matt Kuntz, even though Matt Kuntz might have got a little bit of damage there in that Very Racing Motorsports truck. He's going to benefit because Tony Caputo is going to have substantial damage. And yeah, this has implications for the Bracket Challenge. 5 laps in the books here. Jacob Bradley is your leader after this lap 5 caution. Scott Sobczak second. Aaron Smith third. If you're looking on the ticker to the left, all the drivers in the chase are highlighted in yellow. So you can see where your favorite chase driver is running, but you can also see where your other favorite non-chase drivers are running right now. Several cars coming down pit road. Not everybody, though. Cars up front looking like they're going to stay out. Hey, if you've joined us in the chat right now, if you're watching live on YouTube, we cannot tell you how much we appreciate you. Let us know what driver you're here to support tonight. We've already seen a lot of looks like Matt Scherf fans in the chat. We've got some Dan Berg fans. Ben Keast is here. Julie, my mother-in-law, is here. Thank you for joining us. Daniel Copeland. We got a Wesley Pistol fan in here. Daniel, are you from Tennessee and are you a Volunteers fan? Let us know.
Hey, Wesley Pistols made a big jump here at the beginning of this race.
I was about to say, yeah. Wesley started in the 6th position. He's now up to the 5th position.
Well, I say a big jump, but he qualified well. So
we're not used to seeing that number 94 start up front. So kudos to driver number 94 in that orange and white Tennessee Volunteers car, or truck, I should say. Good qualifying effort out of Wesley Pistol tonight. He's also fighting Lee Campbell in the Buttkicker Bracket Challenge right now. He's got the upper hand as Lee Campbell sits in the 23rd position of that number 14 Apex Energy Series truck. So right now, drivers headed down that kinky backstretch with that curve in it. Pace car leads him down about a lap away from the restart on lap number 7. Hey, if you're watching, not only let us know who you're rooting for. We got Don Hilbrun's in the chat. Don, sorry to hear you have a headache tonight. Hopefully you can tune in for at least a little bit and root on Aaron Smith and the other drivers, Patrick Colby, that you're rooting for, those very racing motor, or the placeholder racing team, as trucks come through turn number 3 and 4. They get ready to take the green. Pace car is peeling off down the pit road here. Wide entry to pit road. Jacob Bradley is the point car. He mashes that throttle in the restart zone. He's got Justin Wilson with him right behind. I think there might have been a little bit of communication on that restart. Bradley sails it down into turn number 1, takes the inside. Scott Sobzak is on the inside. Second car, Justin Wilson, a little bit loose in that 58. He gathers it up. He's quickly got the number 70 of Aaron Smith right behind him in that bright yellow Hank Thomas performance truck, who's given a good push to his placeholder racing teammate, Scotty Sobzak. They've got Josh Ward back there in the 5th position, followed by Wesley Pistol. The battle right now is for second place. Scotty Sobzak and Justin Wilson have been neck and neck all 9 laps of the race so far. That has not changed. They sail it off down into turn number 1. Christian mentioned it. The inside's got an advantage. Into the corner, contact between the number 58 and number 81. Both chase drivers get a little bit of each other's doors there off of turn number 2, but they're able to gather it up and continue on. Justin Wilson on the outside. He's got company from Aaron Smith right now. Jacob Bradley, meanwhile, looking in his rearview mirror, and he's enjoying this chaos. Justin Wilson sends up the track to throw a bit of a block on the number 70, who gives him a big old bumper full of yellow chrome there. He settles in on the outside. Justin Wilson says, all right, I've seen enough of that. I'm going to jump down to the inside. But just as quickly as we say that, Aaron Smith says, okay, well, I'll take the inside. Look at a bit of a snake action. Looks like they were playing a little bit of chicken there, Chris, for a moment down the backstretch.
Yeah, you know, I think Justin Wilson was really blocking that outside down the front stretch. Wasn't a aggressive block or anything like that. It was more so just, I'm going to protect this position right here and not let Aaron Smith squeeze to the outside of him. I think that just goes to show you just the momentum that the top has, and while you probably don't want to run up there forever, it generates a lot of speed down these straightaways, and you don't want a driver to get to your outside because you might get freight train.
We got a yellow flag. Speaking of freight train, might have been the 14 of Lee Campbell. We're going to find out what happened. Return to the scene of the crime here. Looked like it might have happened off of turn 4. Scott Tompkins clips the number 14 off of turn 4. Not sure what happened there. Looked like Lee Campbell kind of was a little bit high off the corner, and Scott Tompkins looked like he might have got loose and just come up into the side of the 14. We've seen these drivers have beef the past couple of weeks, Chris. We were talking about in pre-race. Last 2 weeks, these drivers have not been friends on track, and I don't necessarily think it was anything intentional from the driver, that number 25, but he got loose off the corner, and he used up every piece of the left rear quarter panel of that driver, number 14, Lee Campbell. Another Buttkicker Bracket Challenge car having trouble early on.
Yeah, let's go back and watch it, and we'll watch it actually, from a little bit of a higher perspective right here. So I want to pay attention just to how, Scott does get loose, but I'm not really sure why the 14 is so low on the straightaway here. I don't know if maybe, he's really, really, really low on the straightaway. Normally you see drivers' natural progression go, towards the outside wall. So I think that maybe that caught Scott Tompkins by surprise right there by, how low he was. I don't know if he was trying to protect his position, maybe try to pressure Scott into lifting, but that's a bit of a low line, on the straightaway right there. We'll watch this from another perspective. See Tompkins a little bit lower through the corner here. I just think that I don't know what was. I don't know if Lee was trying to just, like I said, protect that position or what the deal was there. But I think it caught Scott by surprise.
We've talked about the curvature of that backstretch and maybe a little bit of hesitation to get too close to the wall, jumps out, grab your right front. Again, no way to get inside the head of Lee Campbell or Scott Tompkins there. But I can tell you, Sam Maxwell, our race controller from the booth, has given the black flag EOL to the number 25, Scott Tompkins, put at fault for that incident. He's going to be sent to the end of the longest line here for the restart. Most drivers up in the top 15, I believe, all through 19th, Chris, stayed out. I believe the first truck to come in was going to be the number 9 of Patrick Colby. Your first driver who is looking like, based on pit stop time, going to be on fresh tires here. Took all 4 tires, it looks like. So right now, again, recap if you're just joining us, 2 cautions in the first 13 laps. Jacob Bradley is your leader. Ben Keese made a really good point, Chris, in the chat. It says this track is easy to underestimate. Turn 4 can be tough, and we've seen these turns kind of sneak up on drivers, a little bit of loose. Even some of the best, like Justin Wilson, a former Slingshot Racing champion, we've seen him get loose a couple of times through these corners. So really good point made by Ben Keese. As we've got some other folks joining the chat right now, Joe Stankovitz is in the chat. We appreciate him. We mentioned Ben. We've got John Von Brocklin, a Dan Berg fan. We got some Dan Berg and Jacob Chase fans in here. Brandon Bellinger as well. Hey, all these new folks, new names that I'm hearing. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and thumbs up button to get every piece of content that we put out. We've got Wednesday night racing going on too. We've got track tutorial videos for various tracks and various cars. Subscribe to get all of that. It doesn't cost you anything. It only helps us, and it helps us get your favorite drivers in front of more fans every single week as we watch the lap car of Ryan Hinkle, Chris. Another Buttkicker Bracket Challenge truck getting his points, getting his lap back here, involved in that lap number 5 incident. Hinkle going to be glad, and I believe that is going to put him on the lead lap. Tony Caputo suffered the most damage in that lap number 5 wreck. He's going to pay the biggest price. So Hinkle is now going to be on the lead lap. All but one car on the lead lap here. Just 15 laps in, getting ready for the restart in about 3/4 of a lap. Jacob Bradley is still your leader. Justin Wilson second. Aaron Smith third. Looks like Scotty Sobczak. Actually, Wesley Pistol going to be 4th. Scotty Sobczak going to be 5th. I think, unless we just had a car disappear.
That's an interesting decision right here from Jacob Bradley. He's not taking the top this time. He's actually going to take the bottom. So, previous restart, we saw the leader take the top to control car up there. So this time he's on the bottom, and that could be because we've had a few more laps on the tires here possibly. But interesting call right there. We'll see how that plays out through the night. Hopefully, we can get some green flag racing in here.
Hopefully we can get some green flag racing. I know these drivers have saved some of that Sunoco race fuel provided by Hank Thomas Performance, local Sunoco distributor out of Winston-Salem, North Carolina. But they're still going to have to come in. I suspect we're probably looking around lap number 50 or so, given the laps they've saved on fuel. But right now, they're only looking for that green flag. Pace car peels off. Jacob Bradley hits that throttle on the inside. He takes the green. He's got Justin Wilson to his outside quickly. Slips back into second place. Aaron Smith third. The first battle side by side. Scotty Sobczak and Wesley Pistol. Sobczak on the inside, Pistol on the outside. See how that plays out with about 15-lap-old tires on right now. The outside with Pistol seems to have the advantage as Pistol slides in front to 4th position. Sobczak gives it up. He goes back to the 6th position. Right behind them, Chris, Randy Bechdel 3 wide. Before we get to that thought, looks like Evan Pienta, Sean Johnson, and Rye Jones 3 wide down the front straightaway, making me a little bit nervous here, Chris. Sean Johnson almost gets into the right rear quarter panel of his good buddy Evan Pienta there. Now he's 3 wide with, I believe that's Patrick Piper and Chris Pierce. That settles out as well, but that was a hold your breath moment there for a second down into turn 1.
Yeah, we see Patrick Piper. He has still got his sell the team Chevrolet, showing his current disdain for the Oakland A's ownership.
And they're not. They're going to be the Sacramento A's, but they're not even going to go by Sacramento. I think they're just going to be known as Athletics moving forward next season. So say it while you can, I guess.
Yeah, we got a side-by-side battle here for a second. Aaron Smith to the inside of Justin Wilson. He's looking to grab that second spot away from the driver of the 58.
Aaron Smith getting a little bit aggressive early. We're used to seeing the driver of that number 70 HTP truck kind of play the patience game and wait patiently, even if it means running back in 5th and 6th until the final stage of the race and just kind of letting loose. But seeing him run up early here at this 1.5 miles, a little bit of surprising strategy, at least in my mind, Chris. Are you surprised the 70's out there out front as early as he is?
Maybe a little bit, but also I think maybe these early cautions have kind of worked in his favor for him to be able to, push it just a little bit more here at the beginning than maybe what we're typically used to seeing him do. But yeah, he is definitely pushing it. He's not slipping back like we typically see him doing to save tires here. I'm going to be watching over the course of this run to watch drivers like him and a few others that are notoriously good at saving their tires and see how they compare to maybe some others. Are they able to keep these trucks straight to save these right rears? We see a few of these trucks a little bit yawed out in the center of the corners. If you watch their left fronts compared to their left rears and then just gauge that off of the white line, you can really get a sense of, just how they're just slightly hung out around this racetrack.
Hung out high, wide, and handsome, as they say. One of the trucks I'm keeping an eye on, Chris, is sitting back there in 11th position. Chris Pierce in the number 65 Apex Energy truck is up 8 positions on the night after starting 19th. Driver number 65, Pierce, has moved into the 11th position. You want to talk about saving tires. We've seen Chris Pierce be really fast on these short runs and be able to make up speed early in a run, but whether the tires are going to hang on, I'm a little bit skeptical how well he's going to hang on these tires. I'm not saying he's not going to. The driver, number 65 of Chris Pierce, but right now he's got speed early on in this Apex Energy Toyota Tundra.
Yeah, it'll definitely be something to watch. It does look like to me that he is not attacking the corner entry near as hard as Cordell Lofgren is behind him. Cordell was really, really driving in right there pretty hard on his rear bumper, but yeah, it'll be interesting to watch as he's moved up right here. Is he able to continue making that progress forward? Cordell Lofgren also up several spots. He's up 6 spots from his original starting spot as well.
Yeah, Cordell, let's give a shout out to driver number 83 of Cordell Lofgren. He's had a tough start to his season since he's come in halfway through, but right now he's got that number 83 truck sitting pretty good as he has to deal with Patrick Piper right behind him. But top 20 qualifying effort for Cordell, that driver out of Atlanta, Georgia. Really right now sitting in 12th position. He drives it hard to the outside, getting ready to make a move for 11th. Cordell sees that top 10 developing right in front of him. He gets that right rear quarter panel. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to get a little bit of side draft off the 65. Doesn't look like he's able to do it off a turn 4 down the front straightaway. But he's getting racy early on, Chris. That number 83's got some speed early on in this third run of the race.
Yeah.
Just looking. Go ahead.
I was going to say, and he was up there on the top like that, and I started to see a couple other drivers moving up a little bit higher, including this one right here, Rye Jones. He was sneaking up the track a little bit too, and with more people running on the bottom in the early stages right here, that top lane might be just a little bit cooled off compared to the bottom, and I think the top is an option here. I don't think it's something you can just continuously run, but I think it's definitely an option, and we got to keep an eye on that all night.
We got to keep an eye on it. Justin Wilson was keeping an eye on that wall as he got loose off of turn number 2. Once again, we've seen that 58 truck sitting right now in second position, hung out. These drivers, including Wilson and Smith, are chasing down right now Jacob Bradley for the lead. I'm looking at lap times. That time by Justin Wilson was faster right that lap by. He was just a tick slower, but that number 58 is on pace with Jacob Bradley, the leader. Aaron Smith also running comparable lap times. Chris, the second fastest car on the track that time by, though, was Wesley Pistol. Driver number 94, I know we got some Pistol fans. He is stepping it up right now, sitting in 4th position. He got that battle going on. He's watching in front of him between Smith and Wilson, and he smells blood, Chris. I believe that as we watch Aaron Smith get a little bit loose off of turn 4, Justin Wilson going to try to take advantage of that. You mentioned it. These cars, they are hung out as we see Wilson make a nosedive to the bottom of the track to try to pull the crossover on Aaron Smith there out of turn number 2. Can't get it done. They're going to go down that kinky back stretch again. And, yeah, Chris, I'm nervous for these guys. This is some of the loosest race trucks I think I've seen all season, at least visibly, right? Optically, they look really loose.
And we were riding on board with Aaron Smith, and you saw, like, before he made that crossover move on Justin Wilson, you saw him have to counter steer a little bit right there in the center of turns 3 and 4. And, that's something we have to watch, because the more, he does it again right there. He's really loose right there off of turn 2. These cautions have made it to where you can drive a little bit harder, but, are you going to destroy the right rear by, sliding that truck as much as you are? Maybe Jacob Bradley feels like if he's up here on the top at this point in the run, he can save that right rear a little bit. Maybe his truck's just not quite as loose up there. It might burn the right front a little bit more, but maybe he can hang on to that right rear.
Chris, speaking of cars that are running, or trucks that are running that outside groove, I'm looking at driver number 43, Jacob Chase, right now, sitting in 14th position. I've seen him make up a good bit of ground here in the last lap or so. Running now 14th, he is working that outside line, and he's one of our Buttkicker Bracket Challenge drivers. That driver, the number 43 truck, that's a good-looking paint scheme, by the way. I like that gray, that red, and that black. Has to deal with Johnny Rapp right now on lap number 29. But Jacob Chase right now, his opponent is Ryan Hinkle, who is involved in that early caution, but has since gotten back on the lead lap. Hinkle's 29th, Jacob Chase right now sitting 15th, so got to be liking where you're sitting if you're Jacob Chase. I know it's not a top 10 run going, but if you're looking at winning that near $300 value Buttkicker Gamer Plus setup, Chase is liking his odds right now as he's looking to work his way into the Final Four battle next week at Darlington. Great battle going on with Johnny Rapp in that 52. Chris, we talked about pre-race. Johnny a little bit slower tonight than we expected. I know Big John Rapp's probably watching at home right now. We wish him well, and shout out to him. I don't know what the weather like is there right now. John, let us know. Is it cold up in there in New Jersey right now as we watch Johnny Rapp try to complete the pass on Jacob Chase in the 43? But Johnny's slowly making his way through the field in this battle for 14th position right now. But Chris, we mentioned this before, but Johnny's a former Truck Series champion. He knows how to drive these trucks around these tracks, and this is just a testament to how fast this field is with Johnny not running the top 5 like we're used to seeing him.
Yeah, and I think that, if this thing goes green for a while, I think we're definitely going to see him move up. I don't think Johnny's one to get, like, super aggressive in a knot of cars, like in a really, really, busy, unstable pack. So that maybe is why we don't see him charge up through the field like that. And also he's, really good at saving his tires. But, I'll be curious to see if maybe some of these guys who have charged up through the field, maybe if they come back to Johnny over the course of this long run, as Johnny's having to deal right now with James Danforth to his outside.
Yeah, Johnny's got a little bit of a tussle going with number 88 of James Danforth, who's also one of our Buttkicker Bracket Challenge. He's going against Chase Berry, who's sitting right now, I believe, in the 22nd position. So Danforth winning that Buttkicker Bracket Challenge battle going on right now, trying to do battle with Johnny Rapp, and that, I believe, is Patrick Colby to the outside of Rapp. And we mentioned Johnny slipping back a couple of positions. James Danforth, Chris, he's leading our Apex Energy Hard Charger standings right now, and this is why. James Danforth in that bright yellow Napa 88 started in the 9th, in the 24th position. He's up 9 spots into the top 15 in just the first 34 laps of the race. So this is a driver we've seen make a habit of not qualifying that great, but meticulously working his way through the field. And that takes a lot of patience by drivers. It takes a lot of discipline and a lot of racecraft to be willing to work your way car by car by car through the field. James Danforth really doing a great job of that this season and continuing that streak through tonight here at Chicagoland. Loose as we watch him exit turn number 2 there down the back straightaway with Patrick Colby to his inside. Again, we've seen these trucks just yawed out, as you like to say, Chris. They've been sideways or slideways, as Larry McReynolds would say, quite a bit tonight.
Yep.
This battle continues down the front straightaway.
Patrick Colby sideways right there. He tries to work to the inside of James Danforth. Of course, Patrick Colby representing his Alabama Crimson Tide, who unfortunately their Cinderella run in March Madness came to an earlier end than what we wanted to, but they still went further than any other Alabama team has ever gone before in the NCAA tournament.
Absolutely. Alabama had a great run, but it was UConn who won that NCAA Men's National Championship. And I believe Patrick O'Toole, the other Patrick, had a UConn-themed paint scheme the past couple of weeks. I don't know if he started with it tonight to celebrate that national championship. He's off the track after being involved in an early race incident. But got some good old college-themed trucks out here tonight. Oh, Johnny Rapp loose off the corner. Sorry, I'm watching on my monitor. That number 52 as we watch the battle for the lead was sideways. And it's heated up front there, Chris. Jacob Bradley has company. Looking at lap times that time by, we're going to see who was fastest. Jacob Bradley, Aaron Smith, and Justin Wilson ran almost identical lap times.
They did, and Rye Jones is a little bit faster than them, and it might be because they're all jammed up on top of each other up here. They're all running the top. We were curious to see what the progression was going to be tonight, like what was going to happen over the course of this run. It looked like to me Jacob Bradley, I think he was struggling for grip right there off of turn 2. You saw Aaron Smith close up on him there, but he got through 3 and 4 really well that time. Aaron Smith struggled for a little bit of grip right there. He's running that lower line going all the way down there. I see a little bit of grass kicked up on the front stretch where some drivers have clipped the grass. Maybe they're trying to cool them tires down a little bit.
Is that a what was that at Spa? Where was that was a big controversy?
I think it was Lamar, maybe.
iRacing esports teams did something like that.
Yeah, I can't remember the track, but I do remember the controversy.
I don't know if you're going to get any benefit. Do you think there's any benefit to doing that?
Let's see if he does it again here. He didn't.
Number 58. The 58 did it a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think that. I just think they're trying to make up all the ground they can make, because with these trucks, spend so much time on throttle, and momentum is such a big deal that I think they're just trying to shorten the track up every inch that they can. As Wilson, you see, he's fast right now. Justin Wilson's got a lot of grip right there in those tires at this point in the run, but it's so hard to complete that pass with that driver who can run the top.
It really is. That momentum that those trucks can carry off the top of the corner. Rye Jones, Chris, first driver coming down pit road. Sorry to interrupt. We've seen him do this all season long. He had one of the fastest cars on track before he hit pit road here on lap number 41. Does this put the pressure on drivers like Jacob Bradley, Aaron Smith, Justin Wilson, as this Pensacola, Florida driver, Rye Jones, is the first car to hit pit road to get those fresh Goodyear rubbers? He's going to have an advantage, at least for the next lap or two.
Yeah, I don't know if it will pressure them at this point. Rye was pretty fast there at that point of the run. But I don't know if it does yet, because he's the only one right now. And I feel like it's, we can go several more laps, I think. So if maybe 2 or 3 more that are also up there in the top 5 do it, I think that you might see some pressure get put on these guys. But for right now, I think that they're pretty content to ride it out.
Speaking of riding out, Chris, one of the drivers I wanted to bring up, we've been talking about tire wear all night. I know that's a common theme, but at a track like Chicagoland, Josh Ward told us on the pace laps that the right rear was wearing a lot more than he expected to tonight. He's in a battle right now with Scotty Sobczak for the 4th position, but Scotty's fallen back 3 positions here in the last 10 laps or so. I think based on the lap times I'm seeing, he's definitely struggling a little bit when it comes to his tire wear. I should say the last time by he was faster than the top 3, but before that he had been slipping back a little bit. So I think this might be one of those trucks that is feeling the effects of a longer run wear on the right rear tire. Seen him get loose a couple of times. Hold it pretty straight out of turn 4 there with Josh Ward in tow behind him. But yeah, I think he might be one of those guys we're looking at where the fall off is getting a little bit more noticeable. Chris, Wesley Pistol, another one of those drivers that has slipped back. I think we saw him make that charge early, but the tires are paying the price right now. Wesley slid back 3 positions over the last 10 laps or so in that number 94 as we watch him ride around the track, see how loose he's looking, that driver out of Tennessee. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was going to say, he is one driver that is slipping back, and at this point of the run, we start to see those drivers who have saved a little bit. And we brought this guy up before, wondering if he would be able to maintain his run up through the field, and he has been able to. Chris Pierce is up to the 7th spot. We saw him battling just outside the top 10 earlier, and he has charged up through a lot of these guys. He's up 12 spots from his starting position, so
he's got the fastest lap time that time by in the entire top 10. Chris.
We got our leader on pit road.
Aaron Smith.
It's Jacob Bradley.
All right, Jacob Bradley comes down pit road here on lap number 46, giving up the lead. Again, he didn't wait but about 5 laps or so after his teammate Ryan Jones came down on lap 41. So the hands weren't forced like I maybe thought that they would be, but driver number 50, sitting right now 4th in points, makes that slow crawl down pit road here with the first of what we believe will be 2 pit stops tonight. He hits his marks, coming to the attention of his pit crew. But meanwhile, Chris, we've got a battle for what's turned into the lead. Aaron Smith on the outside, Justin Wilson down on the inside through the tri-oval. Aaron Smith takes the lead handedly by about 3 car lengths there. You can see a slight variation in line between first and second right now. Aaron Smith running just about a lane up, where Justin Wilson is trying to keep touch with that white line to separate the track from the apron there. Arcs it in there a little bit now. Both drivers get inside. Aaron Smith and Justin Wilson both making the choice to come down pit road. Aaron Smith hits it clean. Justin Wilson had to hit those brakes. I thought he might miss the commitment cone for a second, but that's how important it is to stay close with the guy pitting in front of you. So right now, Justin Wilson and Aaron Smith trying to hit their marks. Perfect pit stops mean everything. We've seen drivers struggle on pit road all season, Chris, with overdriving their line and have to hit the reverse gear and get back into their pit stalls. Precious seconds being wasted on pit road. Can these drivers hit their marks tonight? It looks like everyone has. Meanwhile, the driver who inherited the lead, Scotty Sobczak, comes down pit road here on lap number 49. We're seeing the first cycle of green flag pit stops develop here. He brought another driver with him. I believe that might have been Wesley Pistol coming down pit road as well in the number 94. Both going to come to the attention of their pit crew. And the story I'm really curious about, Chris, is how long do some of these drivers wait? The longer you stay out, the more dangerous games you play with whether or not a caution comes out, Chris. And I don't think these drivers want to see it. Of course, I don't know. Aaron Smith is a lap down, but he might be able to get that back with those fresh tires. So if you can get your lap back on fresh tires, then good for you. But right now, that is going to be a major concern for drivers. Especially, these are dangerous times. When you see drivers on the track with old tires versus new tires, there's a huge difference in speed. As we watch drivers like Wesley Pistol, he's going to have to navigate traffic with old tires as we watch several trucks drive by, some of these trucks exiting pit road. Interested to see what happens here, Chris. Battle for the lead was going on between Josh Ward and Randy Bechdel, but Josh Ward elects to come down pit road here on lap number 51. Paul Thomas also getting ready to come down pit road. Several other cars coming down pit road. Dan Berg's down there. It looks like Johnny Rapp has also come down. Several cars hitting pit road. I'm looking through the timing screen right now, and we've got all but about the top 4. Actually, no, I should say the top 12 drivers. Some drivers came down earlier in the race, which is making it a little bit harder to tell who's been down pit road during this cycle or not. But great racing going on the track right now. Pit cycle is going to disrupt that a little bit for a moment, but we're going to see how things are going to shake out. I'm really curious to see where the 91 of Ryan Jones comes out in all of this, Chris. I'm showing him as
he'll be the race
he's
leader.
going to be scored as the leader after this. So that early pit strategy, kind of the undercut, so to speak, might benefit Ryan Jones here. Obviously, there's a price to pay. You got to pay the piper later on in that run when his tires start to fall off a little bit sooner than those other drivers. But right now, that number 91 is going to be sitting pretty. Current leader, Dustin Scruggs, Chris. We've seen this driver, the 11. I feel like he's kind of the dark horse every race. He's one of those guys who just kind of slowly slides under the radar, but has a fast truck week in and week out. Dustin Scruggs, that driver out of Nashville, Tennessee, having a really good run right now. Inherited the lead on this pit cycle. Of course, he hasn't come and gotten those fresh Goodyear Wranglers yet, but right now having a good run out there in the lead in that McConey Setup Shop's number 11 truck. To watch James Danforth ride by on fresh tires. Chris Patrick Colby sitting there in second place. Lee Campbell, good recovery for Lee. I know he hasn't come down pit road yet in this cycle, but he is sitting third, Chris. That's a good recovery for him to stay on the lead lap and keep on trucking like he is in the third position. Lee Campbell, I know he's probably got some fans watching right now. We got some Paul Thomas fans in the chat. Stu Venman says, good racing from driver number 42, who's sitting 28th right now after the pit cycle, a lap down, looking to get that back here momentarily. But yeah, Lee Campbell having a good run as well. Always good to see some of these drivers, whether it's through a pit cycle or not, who aren't used to run the top 5, kind of get some air time and run up in the lead. Lee Campbell doing that. Matt Scherf, let's focus in on that Ford truck real quick. I think that might be one of my favorite paint schemes on the track right now. Matt Scherf sitting in the 6th position, Chris, in that number 4. I know he's got a lot of fans that he's brought into the chat to watch the race. Shout out to all those Scherfies. He didn't say that, I did. I'm a little, I regret it now, but driver number 4, Matt Scherf, having a good run. You saw him start 15th, and he's up to 6th in this pit cycle. Pretty good run going for the driver of the number 4. I'm not sure what is on the front of that truck, but it's a good-looking truck. Always got to love red and black trucks. That yellow number 4 just kind of pops right now. So Matt Scherf having a good run, sitting in 6th position. He's got Matt Kuntz behind him. Chris, I'm looking at this Matt Kuntz paint scheme. Is this a Norfolk Southern CSX Chessie paint scheme we got going on right behind him? Number 13?
I guess so.
Look at that.
Yeah, I made a comment about it last week about how, you know how I feel about numbers on the quarter panels. Not so sure about that, but sharp looking ride for sure.
Through the inspection line.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure how I made it, but yeah, I mean, it's a sharp looking ride for sure. Just ignoring the numbers on the quarter panel, but yeah, Matt Kuntz currently I think he's the Nick Cesare, his teammate, the final truck on track who has not made a pit stop. These drivers currently have 44 laps on their tires here, counting the caution laps that they ran earlier. So they put a number of laps on these tires, and they're hoping for a caution here. They're trying to stretch this thing out as far as they can, and at this point of the race right here, let's see, we have they cannot make it to the end. I think that they're just hoping for a caution, maybe to gain a good bit of track position, trap some guys a lap down.
I think, Chris, if we're working backwards, the magic number for these drivers, I suspect, is somewhere around lap 70 mark if they want to make it on that single stop. That's going to be in about 12 to 13 laps right now. Matt Kuntz, I think it's going to be a stretch. I don't think they're going to be able to do it. Matt Kuntz, I want to mention, is also one of the 8 drivers in the Buttkicker Bracket Challenge right now. He's going up against head-to-head Tony Caputo. Caputo, a 14 seed. Matt Kuntz is an 11 seed. Kuntz right now with his position, and considering Tony Caputo's early spat of bad luck at the beginning of this race, Kuntz is looking like he's going to move on, barring some unforeseen incident, which can happen at any point, right? But good run going for the driver, the number 13. Also racing our MX-5 Mazda series on Wednesday night. You can tune in tomorrow night, same time, 8:30 Eastern time. See Matt Kuntz, Aaron Smith, and several other drivers wrangle those little bitty sports cars around Concord Speedway. That's going to be a wild one to watch, Chris. The short track Miata race. I'm looking forward to that one. I've got that on my calendar to watch tomorrow night. Evan Pienta, Johnny Rapp in the booth, going to be calling that race. Join in tomorrow night. It's already available in your queue if you subscribe to us.
Yeah, I was going to say, we have a battle for what will be the effective race lead once this pit cycle finishes up right here, as, man, they're going back and forth trading blows. Jacob Bradley and Aaron Smith. Aaron Smith cleared him. Aaron Smith and Jacob Bradley and Justin Wilson have all gotten around Rye Jones. Justin Wilson's a little bit further back than these guys. He came to pit road, I think, a lap maybe later, 2 laps later than both. No, actually, I'm sorry. He came at the same time as Aaron Smith, so lost a little bit of ground to Smith there on this round of pit stops did Justin Wilson, but man, these guys are going back and forth right here. Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens over the course of this run right here. If, like, once it all shakes out, can Aaron Smith maybe put a little bit of a gap between himself and everybody else, or can Jacob Bradley stick with him?
It is going to be anyone's guess. Who's saving more? I'm looking also, Chris, at Rye Jones. I'm looking at lap times. He's about 3 or 4 tenths off what the leaders are running, what the effective leaders are running right now. And I'm curious, we saw that truck really come on late in that run before he came down as the first car to come down pit road. He did a really good job saving. I'm not convinced that number 91 truck is not saving right now, Rye Jones, which is, we're used to seeing Rye Jones save like that. Watching the roll speed right now compared to, that's going to be compared to Justin Wilson, I believe, in front of him. I'm curious to see if we can see how much more speed he might be carrying through the corner.
Well, that time right there, I think that Justin Wilson ran low in 3 and 4, that previous corner. Right there, they both ran about the same lane. And when you run low, when you run low compared to a driver like Rye Jones is running high right here, the roll speed on Jones was actually a little bit lower that time. So, sometimes when you're running the top like that, you can just carry more speed. The shorter distances on the bottom, but being able to be a little bit more aggressive on the throttle on the top helps you that roll speed out.
And you can see, Rye Jones a good bit slower on roll speed there. Final couple cars, Chris, I believe, coming into pit road here on lap number 64. Patrick Colby went as far as he could on that Hank Thomas Performance Sunoco race fuel, but he is pretty much at the bottom of that tank as he heads down pit road. Drove it dry. Nick DeCesare also headed down pit road in the actual Sunoco Race Fuels 00 truck, and he has driven that thing dry as well. That's going to hand over the lead to Aaron Smith and Jacob Bradley here on lap number 65. We are past the halfway point here at Chicagoland for the Apex Energy Truck Series presented by Hank Thomas Performance with this Evan Pienta Designs 175 from Slingshot Racing League. Just 3 races left, including tonight in the chase for the championship, Chris. Aaron Smith, who scored as your leader, he's looking to go 3 for 3 in the chase, and this is reminiscent of that start Tony Stewart had to the chase in his championship season. I can't remember the exact year. You probably know better than I do, but
I don't know,
where
but
Tony
I know what you're talking
reeled
about.
off like 3 or 4 wins at the beginning of the chase and went on to win the chase later on that season against Carl Edwards. Right now, Aaron Smith is making a case for being one of the all-time greats here in Slingshot Racing League as he works his way by Patrick Colby. Jacob Bradley is scored second, another Slingshot Racing champion, along with Justin Wilson, another Slingshot Racing champion. It's like the Hall of Fame up here in the top 3. Rye Jones, Chris, I think he's saving. I got my eye on that number 91 truck sitting in the 4th position, and that is a good-looking paint scheme as well. There's something about that black and purple that just pops with the driver, the number 91, watching Jacob Bradley as well. Chris, I think it's about time to pay some bills. We haven't heard from any of our partners yet. We've crossed the halfway point. I don't want to upset any of them, so we're going to go ahead and hear from Evan Pienta Designs, who is the title sponsor of this race night here at Chicagoland. We're then going to hear from Buttkicker, and then we'll be back on the other end of this break with more great racing. So stick with us. We'll be back in probably 60 seconds or less.
Are you looking for high-quality, affordable sim racing paint schemes and graphics? Then look no further than Evan at Evan Pienta Designs. Driven by speed, Evan Pienta Designs offers a multitude of sim racing graphics, from liveries to social media graphics to team and series logos. To see some of the work done by Evan, or even race one of the public liveries he's made, head on over to tradingpaints.com and search Evan Pienta.
Haptics is everything from the rumble in your game controller to the vibration from your text notification. Essentially, it's a sense of touch mediated by technology. In our increasingly digital world, there's a divide between the technology we use and how we're used to interacting with the world. Haptics bridges this divide by introducing feedback through your sense of touch. This allows your brain to connect with what it's seeing on a screen or in a game. Buttkicker is a pioneer in haptic technology. For over 20 years, Buttkicker hardware has helped cinemas, musicians, and gamers immerse themselves in their medium and drastically increase their experiences. Not only does it increase immersion, but for things like sim racing, it can actually help you drive better by introducing real-time, accurate feedback. To learn more about Buttkicker haptics, head over to thebuttkicker.com.
All right, back here at Chicagoland Speedway. If you're just joining us, we're on lap number 71 of 116 in the Evan Pienta Designs 175. Watching an epic battle right now between Josh Ward and Rye Jones. This is going on for the 4th position. Both of these trucks have been fast all night long here in this Apex Energy Truck Series race presented by Hank Thomas Performance. Ward on the inside, Rye Jones on the outside. Chris, I mentioned it before the break. We're keeping an eye on that 91. I think he's saving. I don't know if he's got a race winning truck. You know, maybe with some luck he can put himself up there, but we're seeing different lines. This is what we talked about in the pre-race. We've seen 3 different lines kind of emerge over the course of this race. Right now, Josh Ward really has the advantage on the inside, but Rye Jones is able to get right back up to the back bumper with that momentum off the outside line off of turn 4. And a little bit of help from the draft, bringing Scotty Sobczak there with him in the 6th position. We got some good racing going on inside the top 4, 5, 6 right now. As we watch Sobczak set his sights on the back bumper of the 91. He's going to duck low down to the inside. He's looking to go top 5. Scotty Sobczak 3rd in points. He needs to make some noise if he's going to claw his way back into the championship hunt. With just less than 3 races left in the chase, he continues to work on the inside of driver number 91, Jones. Sobczak in that red, white, and blue Pine Mountain Auto Supply truck gains the advantage down into 1. Mark him down for spot number 5. He's looking for more as he looks to the inside of Josh Ward on the exit of turn 2. Not able to do much there. He's got Jones back to his outside with the speed from the outside line. Sobczak, Chris, looking good, reeling off some of the fastest times on the track right now. Second only to Aaron Smith. You saw the 81 get loose there. We're entering that point in the run, Chris, where these drivers are starting to get a little bit loose, seeing more and more side views of those trucks, and that is not what you want to see if you're inside the truck.
Yeah, you don't want to. You want to try to make sure you keep that truck straight. You know, sometimes you get caught up in the race. You're caught up in trying to complete that pass. You know, you feel like you're a little bit faster than that guy. You're just going to feed it a little bit more throttle in the center of the corner right when you pick it up. You know, try to complete that pass, but that comes with a price sometimes. You know, the more sideways that you get that truck, the greater possibility you are that you're going to kill that right rear. You know, you heard Josh Ward he's got some pressure now. Scotty Sobczak looking to make that pass. Sobczak up clearly into the 4th spot right here. Heard Josh Ward talk in the pre-race when we were interviewing him on the pace laps there about he with his new team right here. His new team with Placeholder Racing. He was working with those guys the past couple weeks now, and interested to see how that might affect you know, his performance on track here these last few races. That's going to be one of the first times we've seen this new relationship tested late on in a race. Josh Ward looking to get by Scotty Sobczak here for the 4th position right now. Continues to work on that. Chris, another battle I'm following. It might have dissipated for the time being. Yeah, it's dissipated a little bit. We had a good little scrum going between James Danforth in 12th and Sean Johnson back in 13th. Danforth loose off the corner. As soon as I say that, he wanted the commentator's curse, even though the camera wasn't on him. James Danforth just about all but wrecked off the corner there. He's got that in that number 88 truck. Loose. He's loose again. He's going to try again. Yeah. He's going to try. Johnson gets on the wall there off of turn 4. Just when you thought the battle was about to heat up again, they both found a competitor, but it wasn't each other. It was the wall off the corner there. These trucks, Chris, they're starting to scream just a little bit as these drivers. Yeah, go ahead. I was going to say, you saw James Danforth sideways running that top lane. He's running that. Watch him down here in 3 and 4. Oh, he's going back for more. I was wondering if he would go as high as he did with how loose he got before. He's running that Harry Gant line all the way up there, and just that right side scraping the wall. You know, sometimes it's a little bit easier to run up there, you know, if you're loose. I don't know if maybe he's being a little bit harder on the throttle. Looks like he's got it under control here these last couple laps.
Yeah, he's definitely got it under control. The lap before that, Chris, he was less than a tenth off of the lead lap time, or the leader's time, Aaron Smith, less than a tenth off of that. So that number 12 was wound up, as you mentioned, on the outside. Some drivers might, if they're watching the broadcast, or maybe they've got a spotter telling them, they might start moving up even further as the race goes on, especially if you're trying to gain an advantage on leader Aaron Smith, who's up a clear 4 seconds on Jacob Bradley right now for second place. Aaron Smith is marked as your leader. Bradley firmly in second position. Justin Wilson behind him. Scotty Sobczak in fourth as they work their way through a little bit of lap traffic, including Matt Scherf there.
Yeah, we got a battle right here. Randy Bechdel has moved past. Evan Pienta moved up into the 7th spot.
For now.
Yeah.
Don't speak too soon, because Evan Pienta is all over that back bumper of the driver, the number 51 Iowa winner, Randy Bechdel, who's a little bit loose there.
Pienta sideways.
Sideways off of turn 2.
Man.
Save of the race goes to Evan Pienta at this juncture here on lap 81 in that number 55 truck. Whew. I tell you, Evan was one of the best at holding on to it.
Yeah, we're going to go back and watch that. Yeah, that was intense. We'll actually ride on board so you can see his hands inside the truck. You see all the way to the right there. Yeah, he does lift. I was wondering if he was going to lift at first. He definitely did lift. That was a smart move. But yeah, he kept it straight right there. I was going to mention Randy Bechdel. A quiet night from Randy. He was back in the 8th spot right there before he completed that pass. But it looks like right now, over the course of this second stint right here, he's quietly marching his way through the field, and he's going after Rye Jones here for 6th.
Yeah, Randy Bechdel running some fast laps. He was just a 3/100th slower than Aaron Smith that last time by. So maybe that driver, the number 51, Randy Bechdel, has found some speed. Maybe he's gotten his M&Ms in his system. Yeah, as he's got M&Ms is on the back of that truck. Am I just imagining that?
No, I think you're right. They are.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering. I hopefully wasn't having like hunger illusions or whatever you want to call them.
All right. So if you have your choice of M&Ms, what kind are you getting?
I went through a phase with the pretzel M&Ms as we watch a couple of drivers come down pit road here. Evan Pienta brings, I believe that's Chris Pierce with them. They're coming for their M&Ms and Hank Thomas Performance. Sunoco Race Fuel, I think they're looking to split this run in half, Chris, and have fresh tires for the remainder of the race with just about 32 laps remaining. Those are going to go by in a flash here. This is going to put the pressure on leaders like Aaron Smith, Justin Wilson, and Jacob Bradley. These are some fast trucks you're seeing come down here, especially I'm looking at Chris Pierce, Randy Bechdel, potentially.
The people, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. The people who puts this pressure on is the people that you're seeing on pit road right here. Bechdel, Ward, Sobczak. Those are the guys who are really under the pressure from those guys pitting right there. They had to pit. I think that was the right call. People like Aaron Smith, Jacob Bradley, Justin Wilson, those guys can ride a little bit longer, I think, before they make their pit stop.
Yep, several drivers coming down pit road right now looking to see if we're going to have any other takers this time by. Your leaders, Aaron Smith, Justin Wilson, Jacob Bradley, say thanks, but no thanks this time by. Probably going to be a couple of more laps. You mentioned that they can ride a little bit more, but it did put the pressure on those 3rd, 4th, 5th position drivers to come down pit road. So just to reset right now, if you're just joining us, we're on lap 86, 30 laps remaining in the Evan Pienta Designs 175 here at Chicagoland. Aaron Smith is your leader, Justin Wilson second, Jacob Bradley third, Rye Jones is fourth, Wesley Pistol rounds out
Wilson and Bradley.
Wilson Bradley coming down pit road, second and third position, right on each other's bumpers. These teammates execute what looked like a pretty flawless entry down pit road. We mentioned every single fraction of a second matters on pit road. What's half a tenth on pit road could turn into much more than that on the track as we see them come to the attention of their crew, sliding into their pit stalls near perfectly.
Man, Jacob Bradley, I think he's going to lose some time right here. I think
he did overshoot.
Yeah, he overshot it, and he's gonna lose some ground right here. Yeah, Wilson's down and away.
Oh, and that's at least going to be a second on the track.
Yeah, that's going to cost him a little bit. You know, Justin Wilson had made the pass on Jacob Bradley. I think that Jacob's pace on that stint wasn't quite as good as what he wanted it to be. It wasn't quite as good as that was that first stint. That first stint he had the lead. Oh, it's Tony Caputo in the wall right behind these guys. Josh Ward has to take evasive action to give him a little bit more room right there. Man, this has put Sobczak, Pienta, Ward on the back bumper of Justin Wilson, and there's not a huge difference in tires, just a couple laps.
No, just a couple of laps, and you can see the clear advantage right now seems to be in the direction of the 55 and 81. Justin Wilson just doing what he can, closes the door on the number 55 green and black machine of Evan Pienta, a little bit loose off the corner. You see it, Justin Wilson having to defend as those tires still get up to the proper temperatures. He is just struggling to hold off the number 55 and 81, Chris. I think he might have settled in. However, as soon as we say that, we're getting ready to see the number 70 on pit road this lap if communications are to be correct. Aaron Smith, your race leader, is going to be coming down for his final stop. We're just coming up to 25 laps to go here at Chicagoland, race number 3 of 5 of the chase for the Apex Energy Truck Series presented by Hank Thomas Performance. And it's the HTP bright yellow and red machine getting ready to come down pit road here, a slow crawl, getting set to begin. We can see him coming down to speed. This is the money stop, as they say, Chris.
It is, and he did a nice job getting down pit road right there. He got all that he could get, and we'll see right here. We'll watch his pit stop here. You're riding on board right here with your current points leader, Aaron Smith, and come to the attention of his Hank Thomas Performance crew right here. He stops right on the money, and we'll see what this looks like. I think that he has, he's worked it out pretty well right here. Well, he will be in front of what would be the race leader, Justin Wilson. But we'll have to watch and see. There goes Justin Wilson. You can see him in the background. Here comes Smith. Don't think it will be close right here. Smith on the apron right here. You cannot merge until you get off of turn 2 when you get to the blue line, to the blue cone. And we will watch for Aaron Smith. Here comes Wilson. He is coming right behind him.
He's going to have a huge head of steam, Chris. He's going to try to get in the wake in the draft of that number 70. And this has closed up, Chris. The number 58 definitely picked up time with the undercut there, but I don't know how long that's going to hold.
Yeah, I mean, this is let's see, how many laps is it? It looks like it's about 4 laps between them. I think that you'll see Aaron Smith be able to drive away from him a little bit with this tire advantage.
Hey, Chris, I've got an interesting development, though. I'm looking at some of my fuel numbers, and there's a truck that could potentially make it. We've got a handful of trucks. Scott Tompkins, Lee Campbell, Dustin Scruggs, Patrick Colby, and Chase Berry, Chris. They've got the numbers. If our fuel mileage numbers are believed.
Patrick Colby is sitting in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, I think this 9 truck is sitting pretty. If we're looking at lap times, if we're looking at fuel numbers, they might have called it right there to come when they did earlier in the race, because they've got, 23 laps remaining. That's going to put them at 53 laps, which is...
Yeah.
It's going to be close.
Yeah,
they're going to have to really get off of it to stretch that fuel.
Yeah, and Patrick Colby, I think, is the only one who could realistically do it. He went a couple laps longer than Tompkins and Campbell. I think he's the only one who would have a shot to do it.
These guys are hoping for a caution.
I still think it would be hard for him to do it, and regardless of whether or not he could do it, he'd have to back off and save too much. Aaron Smith is only 3 seconds behind him.
That's changed very quickly. Aaron Smith continues to pick up ground.
Yeah, he's going to these guys are going to stretch it as long as they can and hope for the caution. And, we saw, Scott Tompkins earlier this year. Scott didn't look like he had the fastest car at Auto Club. He had a fast truck there, but I don't think he had the fastest one. And, it worked out for him. I don't think it's going to work out for him the same way here, because I just don't think he has the fuel to make it tonight. But, yeah, he's hoping for a caution here. Lee Campbell the same way. Colby, Scruggs. And you never know, they might get it. But this has got a real green look to it at this stage of the race.
It does have a green flag look to it as we continue to monitor these storylines and monitor the 25. Scott Tompkins, who is scored as your leader, obviously we believe he's going to have to come down pit road in the closing laps of this race, hoping for a caution, though. Lee Campbell sitting second, Patrick Colby third. Aaron Smith, who's led much of this race, is sitting fourth. He seems to be primed to track down these guys and pass them. But he's got Justin Wilson, Chris, not too far behind him. Justin Wilson just about 10 car lengths back as Aaron Smith works his way by his teammate, placeholder racing driver Patrick Colby. Smith now to third. While we watch some of this action develop, I do have one trivia question. Let's get this chat going. Can you give me the answer to this trivia question? Let's get this chat active again. Let us know what racer you're pulling for tonight and who you think's going to win. But another trivia question. Let us know if you can guess the answer. Chris, you can think about this as well. I'll give you a chance. The first blank in America was held on Thanksgiving Day in 1895 in Chicago. In Chicago, Illinois. The first blank in America was held on Thanksgiving Day in 1895 in Chicago. If you're in the chat, if you're watching, let us know what you think it is. What's your best guess? The first blank in America was held on Thanksgiving Day in 1895 in Chicago. Let us know what you think it is, even if you don't know.
I know what it is.
The best answer is. You know what the answer is, probably because you looked at our document. I bet that's why.
Oh, is it on there?
Oh, I see. Now you're playing coy. Okay. Let us know in the chat, and don't be a little cheater like Chris, and let us know what you think. The first blank, it was the first what in America that was held in Chicago in 1895 as we watched Lee Campbell come down pit road. That leaves one truck on the track. Scott Tompkins, Chris, he's got Paul Thomas to his outside. He's got Aaron Smith to his inside, and I'm getting nervous for all three of them right now as they cross the line. Aaron Smith passing Scott Tompkins for position, putting Paul Thomas 2 laps down at this point. Thomas running 26th. Tompkins now back to second. Aaron Smith is now, Chris, your clear leader out there. Now doubled his lead, probably back to 20 car lengths, or about total of 2 seconds on Aaron Smith.
Yeah, and I want to go back very, very quickly to this battle right here for the 5th spot. While we were going through that, we were watching also this go on, and this has been really, really close between these 3 trucks. I saw Josh Ward really pull up fast and hard. He got around Evan Pienta. And then he pulled up on the back bumper of Scotty Sobczak, and Sobczak's put some ground on him here in the last few laps. I don't know if something, possibly happened to Ward, but we'll see if maybe he can put a run back together right here. And these guys have been running super, super close together here over the stages of the race back here. But just behind these guys, Randy Bechdel in the 8th spot. Patrick Colby, he's the other driver that has not pit yet. He is still running around out here, hoping for a caution. And Chris Pierce rounding out the top 10. Great run out of Pierce tonight. Had some, I feel like he's had some really, really good long run pace in that Apex Energy Toyota.
Yeah, he has had some good long run pace. Trying now to get into the 9th position. Colby on the inside. Pierce loose. Both of those trucks, Chris, got loose off of turn 2 there. And boy, I thought we were about to have a moment. That caution that probably no driver more than Aaron Smith did not want to see almost came out there on lap 102 of 116. Just about 15 laps left. Aaron Smith is your leader, but anything could happen. This, Chris, is getting to the stage where drivers are going to start to feel those tires degrade. They're going to start to get loose. We've seen several drivers near 180 degrees sideways. Right now, everyone hanging on to it, but that could change in a moment's notice. And Chris, look at the top 11. All 11 out of 12 chase drivers, positions 1 through 11. What's the saying, Chris? The cream rises to the top. As we watch a near miss between Colby and Rye Jones there.
Yeah, Jones really, really got loose a lap before. I heard me call that out there. That's what I was talking about. Rye Jones got super, super loose in this battle right here with Chris Blassie. Blassie not on the lead lap, but you saw Colby, the close rate right there, the differences in the old tires right there. And, man, that was almost a disaster as Jones got around him.
Rustled your jimmies a little bit there for a second. Made you nervous. That probably made Aaron Smith and all the Aaron Smith fans even a little bit more nervous. He's your clear leader right now. Watching a couple other key battles on the track. Cordell Lofgren gives up the position to Matt Kuntz, or Kuntz, I should say, gives up the position to Cordell Lofgren. Cordell sitting there in 23rd position, Chris. Had a much faster truck. Not sure kind of what happened to him over the course of this race. I'm not sure if he had a bad pit stop. but he had a top 12 run going earlier on in the race, but since faded back in that Coors Miller machine, number 83, Cordell, that driver out of Atlanta, Georgia. Still solid run going for Cordell. Started the top 20, running 23rd right now. Having a good, clean race, which is what we like to see. And hopefully can build on that consistency head into the final 2 races of the season. Caution, Chris, on the track. It might be Matt Scherf in the number 4, hard into the wall. Not sure what happened there, Chris. I think we might have had a hardware failure on the number 4 truck.
That's what it looks like. He's still sitting there on the track. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That is a big hardware failure. Yes, well, let's just see if we can ride on board with him here. Oh, I think that's a connection issue of some sort.
It looked like the truck kind of bounced around a little bit.
Yeah, I was wondering. I was going to see if we saw the wheel go straight. It never did. It's almost like maybe his screen's black or something. Like he can't see what's going on.
Yeah. And hardware connections is every driver's worst nightmare.
It's every broadcaster's
right
worst
now.
nightmare,
Oh, and
too.
he almost, Chris, that's our biggest fear, too. Chris, and drivers having to go around him. There were some scary moments as he could not get it off the track in that number 4. Some clear hardware. I know we got some Scherf fans in the chat right now, but boy, we about had a major catastrophe on the track. But hey, it regardless of damage or not, that's a catastrophe if you're Aaron Smith. Drivers coming down pit road right now, Chris. This is going to be the money stop as Aaron Smith leads the 58 and 50, as well as Scotty Sobczak, Josh Ward, Evan Pienta, as well as Randy Bechdel onto pit road. We're going to follow this battle closely. Aaron Smith had a bit of a gap on Justin Wilson, who closed it up as much as he could because pit road opened a little bit earlier than it normally would. But Aaron Smith looks to control the race off the pit road. We're going to see what happens here. Can Smith get off first? Does anyone gamble, Chris? I think we had a couple of trucks gamble coming out in 3rd and 4th position. Not sure who that 3rd truck was coming off the pit road.
Man, I tell you, this caution right here was a huge break for both Tompkins and Colby. Tompkins
they had held on to that track position.
Yeah, Tompkins especially has gained a lot of track position, and Scott Tompkins will restart in the 5th spot here. He had a great pit stop as well. He had a great trip down pit road.
It's interesting. I guess I'm a little surprised that we didn't see a couple of the trucks. Actually, they might have been a lap down. They might not have had the opportunity. We had a couple of trucks on like 15-lap old tires, 8-lap tires. I'm surprised we didn't see anyone take a gamble, Chris. But hey, the gloves are going to come off here. We are setting up for an epic finish to this race. With just 8 laps left, we're going to probably have a 6-lap shootout. Chris, update from Matt Scherf in the chat right now. He said, couldn't see anything. The wheel froze. He lost all view of anything. So that does kind of sound like what you described, some sort of power issue. I've had that happen in my rig before where a power strip has failed. Maybe something went wrong in the computer and the whole thing kind of just blipped out in screen and all, which is not a good feeling. So, Matt, thanks for stopping in the chat, letting us know what happened. I know you're disappointed. But, hey, you're going to give us an exciting finish here, so I'm not going to complain too hard. I'm glad everyone was able to stay out of the way. But this, Chris, Aaron Smith, Justin Wilson, Scotty Sobczak, Josh Ward are your top 4. And you mentioned Scott Tompkins is the biggest benefactor here of this caution. Top 5, he's got fresh tires. Evan Pienta. Chris Pierce has a fast truck as well. This is going to be interesting, Chris. Do you think anyone's going to have anything for the driver of the Hank Thomas Performance number 70 truck, Aaron Smith, points leader here?
I think that this, Aaron Smith has clearly had the fastest truck all night, but, we saw early in the race when they were all bottlenecked up on those restarts. I mean, people could work their way around him. Aaron's obviously going to be driving harder now than what he's driven all night. But I think it's definitely a possibility. It's going to be interesting to see what lane he decides to take, and he is going to take the bottom. He has chosen the bottom here. Want to make
interesting call.
Yeah, I want to make a quick housekeeping note right here of Jacob Bradley. It looks like he had another long pit stop. He was in the box for over 15 seconds compared to these 14-second stops. So Don't know if he maybe had another issue there or if it was just a slow stop from his crew, but he's all the way back in the 9th spot. Wesley Pistol in the 12th spot. Looks like he only spent 9 seconds in the box on my end, so I don't know if that's a glitch on my end or if he took maybe 2 tires. I don't know what happened there, so we'll have to keep an eye on the 94 right here, see what possibly happened there.
Yeah, I'm seeing a shorter pit stop on the number 94 as well, so I'm curious to know what happened there. Okay, so re-racking them here, Chris. This is going to be a 6-lap shootout style finish. Aaron Smith is your leader. You mentioned him starting on the inside. This is going to get interesting because we've seen the outside be able to hang with the inside truck. Aaron Smith going to do everything he can to get clear out in front of driver number 58, Justin Wilson. But there are 4 or 5 other trucks that could easily win this race. Aaron Smith, Chris, gets the start
Great
he
job.
needs to. He's going to...
Wilson.
Justin Wilson, Josh Ward, Sobzak loose on the front straightaway. That is going to not bring out the caution. 5 wide down into turn number 1. 4 wide. We are still racing. Green flag all the way. Aaron Smith now 10 car lengths in front of Evan Pienta. Randy Bechdel 3rd. Ryan Jones 4th. I'm shocked, Chris, that did not bring out a caution.
Yeah, it didn't. I guess it's because they spun off the racing surface. Race director Sam Maxwell decided not to throw the yellow. A huge break for Evan Pienta up into 2nd. Randy Bechdel in 3rd. These guys have gained a lot of position. Oh, we got trouble.
It is out, Chris. We've got another incident. That might have been the 83 of Cordell Lofgren. Not sure what happened there. I lost the connection.
Yeah, we'll go back and see if we can figure out what happened. We're going to go back to this restart, actually. Going to go back as far as we can to see what happened. Something happened to Justin Wilson. I don't know if there was contact or if... I don't know. Like, it looks like the truck got loose. When he, I wonder if he crossed the gate, maybe, like when he was shifting. Well, right on board with him here.
And he just collects the 81 of Scotty Sobzak.
Oh, that's exactly what happened. He downshifted. It was like when he went from 2nd gear instead of going to 3rd gear, he went to 1st gear. You can hear it over rev. You can see the tachometer red line. You see it go all the way to 8,000 RPMs. And man, this is just a very unfortunate and uncharacteristic mistake out of Justin Wilson. Not used to seeing that out of him. He had some. Josh Ward got into him from behind. Nowhere for Ward to go. And unfortunately, Scotty Sobzak was an innocent victim in the whole thing as well.
And these are a lot of chase drivers that were involved in that. Josh Ward, heavy damage. Looks like he's going to continue, though, in the 5th position.
Hey,
and Chris, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just want to say I completely missed it because in the chaos, but you mentioned it. The 5 wide going on between some of these drivers.
That was insanity back there. I thought I was bracing for another yellow based on that. I don't know how they made it through that corner 5 wide. Cordell Lofgren looked like he got pinched down just a little bit by Dan Berg off the corner. That's what eventually brought out that caution on lap number 112. Chris, this is going to be a green-white checkered. You've got Evan Pienta now 2nd. Randy Bechdel, Chris, he's the truck I'm keeping my eye on. It's not that I don't have confidence in the number 55, but we've seen Randy have some speed early on in these runs. So that number 51 might have something to say about it. Rye Jones is the wild card. He's going to be in 4th. He's going to be out starting on the outside of row 2, Chris. So I don't know how this thing finishes. I don't know how it's going to go, but let us know in the chat. Who do you think is going to win this race? If you're watching right now, everyone, we got 31 people live in the chat right now. Let us know. Who do you think is going to win out of the top 5 or top 10? Maybe you think there's something crazy is going to happen on the ticker on the left. Let us know who's your pick to win this race. Smith, Pienta, Bechdel, Jones, maybe Ward, Jacob Bradley, Chris, he's up to 6th. That cautions a break for him after slipping back to 9th on that sequence of yellow flag pit stops right before we went back to green. I think there's at least, I can count on one hand. Or more than one hand, the drivers that are going to have a chance to win this. Derek's channel says, go Randy Bechdel. We got a Randy Bechdel fan in the chat, Derek's channel. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for first-time chat. I think that might be first-time chat. Derek, if we've seen you before, my apologies, but welcome to Slingshot Racing League, everyone who's tuning in for the first time or maybe a veteran fan of Slingshot Racing League. Appreciate you tuning in. Ellis Thomas here in the booth. Joined. Oh, this is Derek Fike. He races Wednesday night. Tune in tomorrow night in the Miatas to see Derek race in those sports cars around Concord Motor Speedway. It's going to be a crazy, crazy race. He says it's his burner YouTube channel. Man, speaking of burners, we're going to have a barn burner here, Chris, in these final 2 laps, lining up for the restart. Interesting strategy, Chris. I believe the 70 has chosen the outside line this time by. Do you think he learned anything on that restart?
Yeah, I think he did, but I think he's also, I mean, he's trying to, keep these guys on their toes a little bit.
Yes, a little bit.
Yeah, and I think there's something to be said for that strategy. You mentioned it before. Evan Pienta gaining a lot of track position. Randy Bechdel gaining track position as well. And I think that, this is anybody's race. I mean, anybody can win this thing. Yeah, I know Aaron Smith's has looked really dominant tonight, but I'm telling you, the way that, this track is on restarts, I mean, anybody can, get up there, maybe get a fender on him. It comes down to this restart. If Aaron Smith gets a launch in that Geico restart zone the same way that he got one on the last restart, it's going to be hard no matter who is behind him to get around him.
It is going to be crazy. Just about 3/4 of a lap away from the final, I should say, hopefully final 2 laps of this race with the green-white checkered. We're setting the stage for that. Aaron Smith on the outside. He's won the first 2 races of the chase, looking to go 3 for 3 in the chase for the Apex Energy Truck Series Championship presented by Hank Thomas Performance. Meanwhile, Evan Pienta, Chris, he's got a knack for winning the races that are adorned with his name. Evan Pienta Designs sitting in that 55 looking to pick up the win here at Chicagoland in the Evan Pienta Designs 175. Randy Bechdel's got a fast hot rod in that number 51, lined up 3rd on the inside of row number 2, and Rye Jones hungry for his first win of the season as well on the outside of row number 2 in 4th position, Chris. Aaron Smith is your control card, opting for the outside line this time on the restart. Evan Pienta going to try to start alongside him. Well, it's Aaron Smith's restart game here. They are in the Geico restart zone. He gets as good as jump as he has the entire race. That number 70 is off to the races. Evan Pienta ducks down to defend against Randy Bechdel. 3 cars nose to nose to nose on the inside line. Evan Pienta leads them through turn number 2. He set his sights on Aaron Smith. That 55 is loose off the corner. Chris, he's got a big run down the back straightaway. Is he going to be able to do anything with the driver of that number 70? Aaron Smith to the inside. Evan Pienta to the outside. How strong is that 55 truck? Can he hold his line off the outside and get a run down the front straightaway? He's got a push from Rye Jones, 3 wide. Meanwhile, for 3rd position, Aaron Smith looks at the 3 wide battle in the rear view mirror, and he says, goodbye, gentlemen, but maybe not. Rye Jones in the middle of that 3 wide battle off of 2. They're not going to be able to do anything with Aaron Smith, barring some sort of unforeseen circumstance. Down into turn 3, Smith leads him. Rye Jones makes one final Hail Mary down into 3. Can't do it. It's a 3 wide battle for 3rd. Aaron Smith's going to win it. Bradley and Evan Pienta get into each other. Everyone else holds on to it. Colby sideways. Tompkins into the wall. Several cars sideways and damaged across the line, but it doesn't matter for Aaron Smith, who's going to walk off into the sunset to win race number 3 in a row for Aaron Smith in the chase for the Apex Energy Truck Series Championship. Rye Jones going to finish 2nd. Randy Bechdel going to finish 3rd. Josh Ward 4th. Evan Pienta rounds out the top 5, Chris.
Man, we're going to go back and watch this replay of it. Man, Jacob Bradley went from being battling for the 2nd spot there to finishing 21st unofficially across the line. A huge disaster points-wise for Jacob Bradley. He made a pretty aggressive move right here, going to the middle 3 wide, and I think they just all ran out of room. We'll watch right here off of turn 4. He's middle 3 wide, got Randy Bechdel inside, Evan Pienta outside. And they just ran out of room, and it looks like Bechdel slid up into Jacob Bradley, and man, really, really unfortunate.
Really unfortunate. We're going to hear from the top 3 drivers in heavy contact with Chris Blassie and Lee Campbell. Going to hear from the top 3 drivers in a moment, Chris. I do want to update real quick on the Buttkicker Bracket Challenge. These are the drivers outside the chase. These matchups, Wesley Pistol versus Lee Campbell. Wesley Pistol, with his 6th place finish, moves on to the semifinals at Darlington. James Danforth, Chris, by 1 position tonight. Danforth finishes 11th. Chase Berry 12th. It's going to be Danforth who moves on to the semifinals at Darlington. Jacob Chase and Ryan Hinkle. It's going to be Jacob Chase with his 23rd place finish tonight, moving on. And then Tony Caputo and Matt Kuntz, Chris. It's going to be Matt Kuntz with his 19th place finish, who moves on to the Final Four for that Buttkicker Bracket Challenge. So, speaking of challenges, these drivers had their challenges cut out for them tonight, especially in this final sequence of 2 green flag restarts in the final 10 laps. We're going to hear from our 3rd place finisher, Randy Bechdel, first. We're going to bring him into the booth real quick. Hey, Randy Bechdel, driver of the number 51 truck. This is Ellison Chris in the Slingshot booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Hey, man, that let you catch your breath after that finish a little bit. That we started off with a couple of cautions. We went a long stretch of green flag and then had a couple of cautions there at the end with a lot of excitement added on top of it. Congratulations on that 3rd place finish. I know you were looking for a win, but you minimized the damage, right, that Aaron Smith did with that win tonight. I know you're going to lose a few points, but you still got 2 races. Anything can happen. Talk to us a little bit about what was the biggest struggle on the track tonight? We saw a lot of guys getting loose. Were you experiencing that same looseness as the tires wore down a little bit?
No, I was kind of pretty good with my throttle for the most part, running top or bottom. It's just the worst thing for me was just trying to pass people, because once you get halfway through the run, everyone will just start running the top, and you just can't pass anybody. And you try to get a run behind them, up behind them, and you just get pushy behind them, and you can't get the run off the corner. So that was my biggest issue.
Making your moves early was the way to go, and after that, it was kind of a struggle to get by guys. We mentioned, was there a preferred line? I know inside earlier in the race, but you mentioned drivers moving up to the top is what kind of made it difficult. Where were you more comfortable throughout most of the race?
I was more comfortable on the bottom, but like I said, you can't pass anybody on the bottom. So,
well, man, just great job tonight. Walk us through that last sequence. We saw some insane racing after that next to last restart. We saw 5 wide at one point. Kind of walk us through that experience for you, where you were able to move up a couple of positions.
well, not the restart. I'm not exactly sure what happened up there, but just kept it down. Everyone flew to the bottom. Then on that last restart, tried to be nice on the first lap, lift a little bit for Ryan and him above me, but in the last lap in 3 and 4, I didn't lift. I don't know what happened off 4, but Jacob was a bit mad, so I had to look and see what happened there.
The gloves were off on that final restart for sure, man. You hung tight. You outlasted a lot of your competitors, made it through the chaos of the final 7 or 8 laps of the Evan Pienta Designs 175. Before we let you go celebrate that podium finish, looking forward to Darlington next week. I've battled you at Darlington, Randy. That's one of your better tracks, at least based on my experience seeing you run out there. You think you got a shot at the win next week?
Can we penalize Aaron a lap or 2?
Hey, you never know. You got more speed than you give yourself credit for. So before we let you go, though, headed into Darlington, you got any shout-outs?
I want to thank my teammates, of course, you two, for our broadcasting, all league sponsors, Apex, Hank Thomas, UD Awards, and whoever else I missed. I'm sorry.
Oh, you did a good job. Valiant effort. Aaron Smith will rattle through. I think he's got a list or something. So we can't expect that of everybody. But man, good job out there tonight. Great hard driving. This has been just a consistent season for you overall, sitting second in points right now, and just congratulations on the great season so far.
No, thank you.
Awesome. All right, you heard there from Randy Bechdel, driver of the number 51. Third place finisher. Now we're going to hear from Rye Jones. Chris is going to find out what happened to Rye on that final lap, as well as kind of what the the final portion of that race looked like from the driver, the number 91, if we can find him.
I think he's in the waiting room, Ellis.
The duh. All right, he's in here now.
All right, Ryan Jones, our second place finisher tonight. This is the Slingshot booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I do.
All right, Rye Jones, man, we had our eyes on you on that first stint there. Man, you were really getting after it. You were up to P4, and then you surprised us by coming to pit road early right there. Well, we've seen you do that throughout the year this year a few times, but you had some good speed right there on that first stint. And talk us through your night. What was the biggest thing you struggled with out there? We saw a lot of drivers maybe sliding that right rear tonight. Was that the biggest concern area that you had to look out for?
No, my biggest concern was me being a dummy and pitting early, like I have a bad habit of doing, because it definitely didn't work. I thought that if we had split it into thirds, more people would follow me, and nobody did. So everybody ended up pitting like 8 laps after I did. So my strategy was totally out the window there, and I fell back. I was still kind of top 5-ish, top 7-ish, but with 8-lap older tires, there was nothing I can do. And so that really put me in a hole. So I ran that second stint just until I ran out of gas, just to see what happened. I would have came out with maybe like an 8th place finish out of it. So, which honestly, I would have taken that for my mess up. But I had a fast truck. In the long run, I had it figured out. I could go, run like maybe 15, 20 laps on the bottom, and then it started to fade away. But once that top line came in, I was golden, and it felt really good. So if I just didn't make that mistake and just kind of stayed out, honestly, if I had just stayed out as long as Aaron did, I felt like, I don't know if I would have had anything for him, but I would have had a second place truck. And ironically, I just got the luck to finish second place.
Well, we watched you on that first stint. We were watching your lap times, and we saw, that you were running some of the fastest laps at the end of that first stint, like right before you came to pit road. But right there at the very end, there was a lot of, we had that late caution, and then we had another caution on top of that, and you were, sitting in the best spot to really gain a lot of track position, and it's almost like the seas parted for you. Talk us through those last couple laps and just how insane it was. It looked insane from our perspective. How intense was it from the driver's seat?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Justin accidentally downshifted, which is pretty crazy. He doesn't really make very many mistakes. So it really kind of sucked for him. But me and Randy just, we pushed through on the outside, and it ended up, working out. And so on that, before that last caution, we were like, hey, let's, we kept trying running the top, and it didn't work. So it let Aaron and Evan stay in front of us. And then the caution came out again, and I was lucky to be 4th because I had a good feeling that Aaron was going to take the top without Scotty being there with him. That was the only reason he took the bottom on the restart before, was because Sobzak was there with him. So I knew he was going to take the top, and I tried to time it perfectly. He just got it barely better than I did. But going to the white flag, Evan, I don't know if he got loose or tight or whatever, but he ran it up the track in 4, and I didn't want to wreck him, so I did the crazy thing and made it 3 wide. And luckily, Jacob followed me and kind of pushed me a little bit, got me ahead, and I feel really bad for him. Coming to the checker, Randy, him, and Evan were all 3 wide, and he just got sandwiched, and it just absolutely killed it. Instead of him finishing, 3rd, 4th, or 5th or whatever, he ended up, getting turned and finished 21st before he even crossed the line. So that really sucks for him. He deserves a little bit more credit, but we were all just racing for the win. We knew it was going to be hectic because once we had a fresh set of tires, everybody was flat-footing it all the way around. So it's a lot of fun. It just, depending on the outcome that you have, but overall, I had a lot of fun, long run and short run both. So a lot of momentum going into the last 2 races. Darlington and Charlotte are 2 of my favorite tracks. So we'll see if we can prevail on one of them. Yeah,
we'll be looking forward to seeing you on the track next weekend in Darlington. you mentioned it before. These late race restarts, man. It's unfortunately some people come out on the losing end of it, and after a really good night, and it's just a little bit crazy there. The last few laps. Any shout outs you want to give before we let you go celebrate this second place finish?
Of course. You guys putting on an amazing show. I can't wait to watch the replay. I love watching them. Shout out to all the payday drivers, Chase, Johnny, Randy, Jacob, Justin, and just, honestly, everybody that tunes in and everybody that races with SRL. I feel like we put on a good show and we have a lot of fun with it. And, I'm hoping the next 2 races can be even more fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the name of the game, and I think you hit the nail perfectly. Got a good group of guys right here who do a great job, and you are definitely one of them. That's Rye Jones, our second place finisher tonight in that 91 truck. Rye Jones, great run tonight, bud.
All right, appreciate you guys.
All right, so that was Rye Jones. We're going to hear now from race winner Aaron Smith, 3 for 3 in the chase tonight. All right, driver number 70 of the Hank Thomas Performance, Yellow Machine, Aaron Smith. It's becoming a familiar refrain. I'm always glad to talk to you, man. 3 for 3 in the chase. We haven't seen this sort of dominance. Like, we know you're always fast, man, but this is quite the stretch you've been on. You've been getting after it these past 3 weeks. Congratulations on that win. And boy, you had quite the show in your rearview mirror those final couple of restarts, man. Walk us through. First of all, let's start at the end and work our way towards the beginning. Walk us through those final 2 restarts. We noticed you switched lines on those final 2 restarts. You started on the inside on the next to last restart, and then went up top for the last one. What was kind of your thought process there?
Well, I saw Randy hanging out back there, and I figured he was the closest to me on points at the time, so I wanted to keep him behind at least 1 row of cars, and I think that worked out. I don't remember where he finished tonight, but I think I saw him sideways, which wasn't ideal, so... oh, no, that might have been someone else, my bad. But, yeah, he ended up finishing 3rd, but... Yeah, there were. I wasn't too sure where to go on that restart. Like, I saw them all running on the bottom like we were running in the street stocks, and figured I'd just hang down there with them. If I can get as good of an entry as they did, I feel like I'd be all right. So, fortunately, that all worked out for me, and they ran 3 by 3 behind me.
Man, it was quite a wild show. 5 wide behind you at one point, a couple of rows back on the next to last restart. But you outlasted the competition, man. You had a fast hot rod most of the day. Kind of not used to seeing you run up front so early. Were you a little bit more aggressive tonight, going for 3 for 3, or were you playing the conservative long game early on in the race?
The plan was to be as conservative as possible. I knew that the bottom was going to be fastest all night, but once the folks on the outside got their stuff rolling, it was difficult to get by them. So I figured if I just sat behind them, waited for them to run their stuff off, I'd be able to make my move. And I think it played out that way. I think I got by Jacob in that second run and was able to stretch my legs out a little bit. But unfortunately, we got that caution and brought it all back together again. So fortunately, I was able to pull away there in that last restart and bring it home.
Hey, man, you look good out there. I do have one question. Chris and I were talking about this as we were watching you and Justin Wilson and Jacob Bradley kind of go at it earlier in the race. Was anyone tucking their tires down onto the grass to try to cool them off a little bit? Was that a thing, or did someone just accidentally run through, just clip the grass on the front straightaway?
That wasn't the intention, but I did go through it a few times just to shorten the radius as much as possible. I didn't really see that many people running it like every lap the way I was, so I figured I'd just save all the time I could.
Yeah, well, it worked out. You saved all the time you could. You did a great job. You brought it home in victory lane, man. Darlington and Charlotte, final 2 races of the season. Are you going to try to make this 5 for 5 in the chase? Is that the goal here?
Well, yeah, it's always the goal to come home with the win, but I don't want to bite off more than I can chew here. I'm already in a really good spot, and the last thing I want to do is make it difficult for myself at Charlotte. But if I can come off the truck really fast for Darlington, I'll try to go win that one too. So hopefully that all works out for me.
Well, man, you extended your points lead a little bit further tonight. You picked up 8 points on Randy Bechdel. You got a 43-point lead on Bechdel in the final 2 races. So it's going to come down to you and Randy. You're going to have to be perfect because Randy's not gonna let you get one by on him if he has a say about it. So, man, we'll let you go celebrate this victory, but you got any shout-outs before we let you go do that?
As always, I'd like to thank the folks at the Slingshot Racing League for putting this show on, Yoff Broadcasting, as well as Hank Thomas Performance, Apex Energy, Sim Racing Concepts, Evan Pienta Designs, UD Awards, Buttkicker, and the Stage Break Podcast for supporting the league, and looking forward to getting back at it next week at Darlington. Hopefully I'll be able to talk to y'all again.
Absolutely, man. Quite a dominant run. Try to go 4 for 4 next week at Darlington. Aaron Smith, the victor tonight at Chicagoland of the Evan Pienta Designs 175. We'll let you go celebrate, buddy. Have a good night.
All right, thank you.
All right, so we mentioned it with a couple of drivers. Headed to Darlington next week, Chris. This is going to be a different race. Finesse was required tonight, but the amount of finesse that Darlington, the track too tough to tame, requires is it's an understatement. It's one of my favorite tracks. I think you like the track too. A lot of drivers love this track. We talked to them over the course of the media night earlier on in the season. Darlington came up as a track a lot of drivers loved, and obviously Aaron Smith's going to be fast. But Randy Bechdel, I've got Randy Bechdel circled on my list of drivers to watch. To be really fast and maybe try to put himself in a position to win this championship. Chris, Aaron Smith isn't perfect. We've seen him have some issues and slip-ups at Dover, and anything can happen with just 2 races left in the chase. As we look through the final results of tonight, you're seeing the top 10. We've talked to the top 3. Josh Ward, Chris, despite that damage, he brings it home 4th position. So kudos to Ward. Hangs on to it. Evan Pienta, we saw him positioned for a good finish. Finishes 5th. Wesley Pistol brings it home 6th, where he started tonight. Patrick Colby, we mentioned he was a big benefactor of that caution that flew late in the race. Finishes 7th. Chris Pierce, great finish, 8th. Dustin Scruggs, Nashville driver, brings it home 9th. And Johnny Rapp, Chris, we knew he would find the top 10 before the end of the race game, and he was there, 10th to finish out the evening. James Danforth, solid 11th place finish. I'll let you take us through 20th.
Yeah, James Danforth in 11th, gaining those 13 positions over the course of the night. Chase Berry, also a big gainer on the night, started 23rd, finished 12th. Patrick Piper in 13th. Sean Johnson in 14th. Scott Tompkins, I think that he was caught up in that last lap deal. Unfortunately, he lost some spots after his gamble early. Nick DeCesare, 16th. Scotty Sobzak, 17th. Justin Wilson, those two right there, 17th and 18th. Unfortunately, that little restart snafu with Wilson downshifting by accident resulted in those guys finishing lower than what they probably should have. Matt Kuntz in 19th. Chris Blassie in 20th. I want to circle back to Darlington real quick, Ellis. I think one reason why so many drivers, just previewing a little bit next week, so many drivers in the media night talked about how it's one of their favorite tracks, and it's definitely one of my favorites and your favorites, I know. It's a track where you feel like you can make a difference as a driver, and sometimes you're at the mercy of other people and circumstances. That's one track where you are more so in control, I think, than a lot of other ones where you can actually make a difference.
And a lot of drivers going to be looking to make a difference next week. Looking through the rest of the finishing orders tonight, Jacob Bradley, Chris, you mentioned it. It went from bad to worse with a slow pit stop to being involved in a collision at the end of the race. Finishes 21st. Lee Campbell brings it home 22nd. Jacob Chase, he moves on through the Buttkicker Bracket Challenge, defeating Ryan Hinkle. He finishes 23rd. Dan Berg, we saw him have a little bit of contact that brought out a late race caution. Brings it home 24th. Cordell Lofgren has a clean run tonight, finishes 25th. Paul Thomas, 26th. Tony Caputo, we saw involved in an early race incident, finishes 27th at number 7. Matt Scherf had a solid run going before he lost connection with his hardware. Has to suffer through for a 28th place finish. Ryan Hinkle finishes 29th, and finishing a tail on the field tonight, Patrick O'Toole, who had some trouble early on in the race. Chris, 30 drivers showed up tonight. 2 races left. It's going to be a wild conclusion to the season. A lot of drivers going to be really hungry, I think, to knock Aaron Smith off that 3-race run that he's got going leading into Darlington as he looks to solidify his hold on the Apex Energy Truck Series Championship presented by Hank Thomas Performance. He wants that UD Awards trophy, and he's going to be looking for it next week at Darlington. Chris, but if you can't wait till next week, we've got racing coming up tomorrow night in the Mazda Miata MX-5 Spring Classic. We're going to Concord, a small oval track in sports cars. It's going to be wild. That race starts at 8:30 Eastern Time. If you follow us, if you subscribe to us on YouTube, that'll pop up in your feed. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, thumbs up button. Give this video a like. Let us know that you enjoy watching these drivers race hard every single week. But tune in tomorrow night, 8:30 Eastern Time. Evan Pienta and Johnny Rapp going to be calling that series from the booth. That's race number 4 of 5. And Chris, Aaron Smith again. He's had a good run going. He's the points leader in that series. I know folks probably get upset with us for talking about Aaron Smith so much, but he's had a dominant. This might be the most dominant I've seen Aaron Smith in racing over 2 years with us. He's like in the zone, right? So can he continue that strength tomorrow night, or can a driver upset him at Concord Speedway in the Mazda Miata MX-5 Spring Classic, 8:30 Eastern Time. Tune in tomorrow. And Chris, next week we're getting ready to launch a new series to kick off Season 7 this summer, so more news about that to follow. Thanks for all of our partners who make these races possible. We're going to play a couple of ads at the end of the race. Check them out. Check out the links in the video description. We appreciate every single viewer who tuned in tonight and rooted on their favorite driver. Chris, I forgot to give the answer to that trivia question. What was the answer?
It was the first automobile race.
It was the first automobile race. The Chicago Tribune race 1895 saw 5 trucks, or five cars entered it. Fun fact, I think there were like 83 entered. Only 5 made it to the actual race. So, I think a couple of them broke down. One of them hit a horse, apparently. It's 1895, so there are lots of horse and carriages out on the street. But Chris, lots of horsepower coming up next week at Darlington. Tune in next Tuesday for race number 14 of 15. I'm Ellis Thomas, joined by Chris Smith in the booth for Slingshot Racing League and the Apex Energy Truck Series, presented by Hank Thomas Performance. Have a good week, everyone. Looking forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye.
Hank Thomas Performance is a Sunoco race fuel master distributor located in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Our territory covers North Carolina, Virginia, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, as well as the Panhandle of Florida, providing quality Sunoco race fuel to many track and dealers throughout the region. In addition to Sunoco race fuels, Hank Thomas Performance distributes high-quality methanol and at-track supplies, as well as miscellaneous gas containers and everyday products that the at-track racer wants and needs as they compete at their local asphalt and dirt ovals, plus drag strips. You can reach us at 800-848-HANK, or if you're in our area, come out and visit us at the shop.
How do we get these one-of-a-kind amazing trophies? Well, we were fortunate to find UD Awards when we started our league. We reached out and we connected with Christopher, and we got started designing these one-of-a-kind works of art. The process was easy from start to finish. After just a few revisions, we finalized each one of them, and the team at UD got to work building each trophy from scratch. They're a small team, but they've got the ability to do just about anything your brain can imagine. And don't worry, if you're not an artist, they've got an entire catalog of unique trophies in pretty much any material you can imagine. Wood, acrylic, glass, and in the case of last season's trophy, metal. The best part, they're affordable. If you're looking for a trophy for your event or league, the choice is simple. UD Awards can give you exactly what you want.